Welcome to Eventually 2024. Why have we called it Eventually? Because we are eventually venturing back into a new world. These are exciting times of reinvention. This webinar has been created by 360. It is the brainchild of the creators at 360 to invite all experts in the hope that we can inspire, ignite, and reconnect an industry. We're also going to be sharing some insider secrets and would love to further the conversation. My name is Sisi Kuzwayo. I'm your host and the praise poet for the professionals who'll be sharing their genius and excellence with us today, and to assist you in solving, even if it is just one challenge that you may have with regards to your events. When Megan suggested that I take on this role as the worker bee emceeing this gig, I actually thought that she was confused and a little overworked. And I seriously did. Everyone who has worked with 360 knows what a well-oiled yet loved bubble of a machine Megan runs. Her and the rest of the 360 team continuously strive for excellence and are allergic to mediocrity in all its forms. The 360 mission is to elevate everything that they touch. Today is going to be amazing. We have put together a lineup of extraordinary maestros in their fields who will be giving you value-adding tips and solutions for your creative and marketing challenges. Please look out for the handles around each speaker, which will help you contact each of them directly. Each speaker also has a downloadable cheat sheet as part of their knowledge sharing session, so keep an eye out for that as well. If you have any thoughts or questions during our sessions, you can type them in the question box and our guest experts will reply to your queries. So let us kick off with the founder, CEO, and creative director of 360 Degrees. I personally like to refer to her as the chief creative, as not only is she a wicked creative anyone would be blessed to work with, she's also an amazing leader who leads from the front, guiding and supporting everyone that she works with. And she runs a business founded on entrepreneurship, which means that everything we do is thinking out the box. Bantu basekhaya, Megan Wilson.
Oh, thank you, Sisi. You do make me sound very fancy. Thank you very much for joining us. I did take a bit of a sneak peek, and it's great to see that we have such a healthy cross-section of our event people online today. Some of our clients, a lot of supplier partners, a restaurateur, and loads of people from other event agencies, which is great. Healthy competition makes for a robust industry, and we all want just that. So yes, hello and welcome everybody. Today I'm talking about trends. In the lead up to this event, I've been speaking to quite a few people from other agencies, technical and decor suppliers, caterers, and friends in affiliated industries. The question I posed was, what is the one thing, the one trend that you would like to actually see happen? And I got some pretty interesting answers, and I've incorporated those into my ideas and my thinking today. But the one thing, the one trend that everybody said unanimously they would like to happen is, clients, please tell us what you want. Give us a brief. And so, in the spirit of collaboration in answer to all of our frustrations, there will be a briefing document in the downloads. Clients, agencies, suppliers, grab it, use it as your own, and let's reset the briefing trend. Getting serious for a moment. The recent past has left us all wondering, what the hell happened? We had an industry, work to go to, suppliers to call, clients to service, and then it all stopped. And who could have predicted that? And who amongst us could have predicted the huge impact that it would have as we had to rebuild, reshape, reinvent, and totally reimagine our lives, our businesses, the way we work, and of course, the way we think about, attend, and create events. But this is a whole new year, and we've made it through. And here we are, eventually in 2024. And it is a whole new world. As we all breathe a collective, tentative sigh of relief, there is a brand new set of realities and challenges. And we cannot ignore them, because these realities inform what comes next and shapes the new trends. I'm often asked to talk about trends, which frankly makes me smile. I head up an event agency, and I'm not a clairvoyant. I cannot predict the future any easier than I can inhabit the past. As I said, I don't have a crystal ball, but having been on this planet for a while, there are a few things that I do know about trends. And I hope that there's something that resonates with you today, and if so, great, please use it. If not, no harm intended. And if you want to challenge me, please do. I love a good back and forth discussion. So, what exactly do we mean by trend? What is a trend? Why are we interested in trends? Why do we follow trends? Why do we want to be on trend? A trendee, a trendster? Well, it's fashionable. It's where we are fashionable. It implies style, sophisticated attitudes and opinions. And trends are sexy, right? Well, there are trends and then there are trends. Firstly, there are the superficial trends, fads that come and go. Remember Tamagotchis and Angry Birds and Gangnam Style and people throwing buckets of water all over each other, Jerusalem. Fads are short-lived. They're hugely popular, must have, must do for a while. Then they fade away and they become passé and old-fashioned. And nobody wants to be yesterday's news. Then there's the deeper level. These trends are more closely linked to our attitude to ourselves and to the world at large. They're more reflective of how we present ourselves, think about ourselves, how we behave, and what our values are. Think vegan. They emerge as a way of defining identity in a subculture or social group or generation, or as a way of adapting to a new set of circumstances. But they're still on the fringe of mainstream society. As soon as they become universally incorporated into society as a whole, as soon as pretty much everyone is doing it, it's no longer a trend and it's just the norm. Now, bikinis were a fad actually invented in the late 1940s, interestingly, but became a real fad in the 50s and 60s. Now, it's just what you prefer to wear on a beach. During COVID, it suddenly seemed that everybody I knew was baking sourdough. Not so much anymore. We all started getting in Uber Eats and Mr. D, and that hasn't stopped, certainly not in my house. It's just part of how we do things now. We all started working from home at weird hours of the day and night. At first, it seemed like we were on call 24 hours a day. Remember that? And then we learned to manage it, choose when to work, when to recreate, when to shop. Now, the whole world is pretty much on flexi time. And then, of course, there are the biggies. The trends that are driven by the emerging imperatives facing society, humanity, us as a species. Climate change, declining biodiversity, cybersecurity threats, the mental health crisis, substance abuse, disinformation, and fake news. The list goes on and on. And of course, we have our more localized issues. The fragility of our economy is really fragile. The decay of our infrastructure, the crippling effects of ongoing power and water interruptions, corporate and governmental corruption, political insecurity, crime. Yes, there's a lot to talk about these issues, and that is also normal and universal. But I think it's fair to say that when it comes to what we actually do and how we live as a species, there are peripheral concerns. People who are actually engaged in doing stuff are not mainstream. They're in the minority, they're on the fringe. If someone tells us that they're in renewable energy, for example, we find ourselves replying with some kind of version of, wow, that's amazing, unusual. And it's against this backdrop and against this context that new trends are emerging. And we, the creators and makers of events, need to keep our eyes peeled, ears open, and nostrils flared to catch every sight, sound, and scent of where these shifts are going to take us. And this places a burden of responsibility on us in the event industry. Simply identifying that it's trendy does not mean that we have to pick it up, because like everything in life, there's the good There's the bad, and there's the ugly. And we have a duty to watch the trends because we're exposed to so much. We are so privileged. We have to be discerning and keep looking at the why. Why is this trending? What informs the trend? And keep questioning its value. All right, let's deal with the ugly and let's get it out of the way. We have to agree that many trends throughout time that have been picked up have been absolutely ghastly, and why they ever took hold remains a little mystery. I'm thinking specifically about things like the wearing of dead baby animals. Whilst I can sort of get my head around it on the frozen plains of places like Greenland and Iceland, I cannot understand why the whale-heeled of South African society thought it was absolutely uber sophisticated to wear a silver fox or a floor-length mink coat. And I can tell you that these items are still being auctioned off today, and people are still bidding and paying many thousands of rand for them. I don't get it. We also know that there are many, many mindless, often very dangerous trends that are driven by social media. And we can and must play our parts as a positive digital influence. We must use our voices and we must speak out. Now, I'd love to hear your take on some of the worst trends that you've had to survive. Talk to me. So where to now? What to do? Be in? Be on? What's the next? Gird your loins, people, and do not go in blind. You will be blindsided. Trends are informed by huge, deep, not wide, localized, in our own backyard enormous issues: societal, planetary, existential, species, human survivalist realities. There are many key drivers that will guide us towards the next trend, but I'm only going to focus on the ones that I think are going to play a significant role in how we approach our events in the next little while. The proliferation of remote workers, the digital nomads, who have the ability to work from anywhere. The influence of these nomads on all of us is far-reaching. They look so cool with captions like "My office for the day," with the ocean and mandatory palm tree for a view. They've spotlighted the value of freedom, autonomy, and flexibility. And I want to say those three again: freedom, autonomy, and flexibility. They are minimalist and they travel light, placing value on experiences over goods. Financial modesty, next big trend that we're seeing. Money is extremely tight, and we live in a world where wage inequality and poverty are deep concerns. Conspicuous consumption, the lavish or extravagant procuring of goods, is totally off trend. It has been replaced by a focus on value. The value is measured by cost, functionality, durability, and practicality, and is key to purchasing decisions. The digital detox, we're simply overloaded. The move is to take breaks away from and limit time on devices and social platforms. Living sustainably, with real emphasis on environmentally sound practices such as reducing waste, using renewable energy resources, adopting plant-based diets, supporting ethical and sustainable brands, food production, wellness and mindfulness, a growing awareness of mental and physical well-being, with a focus on practices like meditation and yoga, healthy eating, self-care, and stress reduction. Personalized health and fitness, using technology and data to personalize our health and fitness routines. The one I really like coming up now, the truth and fact-checking. We're scrutinizing all labels, especially food, interrogating sources of information, paying for responsible media and journalism, and speaking out against false facts. Conscious consumerism, We're placing greater emphasis on ethical and socially responsible buying decisions, supporting fair trade, sustainable products, and brands that play a positive role. We're going to see a greater, much greater community engagement and collaboration going forward. There's a strong move towards building closer community networks, making connections, and promoting collective action for social and environmental causes. Wellness travel. This is an opportunity, actually. Travel experiences focused on rejuvenation, relaxation, and personal growth. And then the one I'm not so sure how I feel about it, even though we have to adopt this in some measure or form, and we've all played with it already, AI. Powerful tools for event management process, we know this. However, given the sensitivity around providing personal data, I think the jury is out as to whether attendees are going to permit things like facial recognition and biometric technologies to be integrated into their event experience. I'd really love to hear your thoughts on this, as well as tools that might be working for you or not. So how does this big picture inform us? And what must we pay deep attention to? I remind us of the very basic reason why events are created. They're created for people to connect. Two crucial words: people and connection. With increased access to automated and digital solutions, we must take care to be very mindful that we are dealing with human beings, each with a unique set of personal preferences and likes. So let's keep it personal and human. Entertainment is a great connector, and speakers, performers, and artists remain key to the creation of successful events. But choose wisely. Know your audience. Know who you are booking with. Know who you are booking. Make sure to connect with them and clearly outline your expectations. Nothing makes an artist more uncomfortable than not knowing what they're walking into. And that's going to play out badly for you. But Boniswa Holland is with us today, and she's going to be taking us through our paces on that one a little later. Our audiences are looking for an experience, a reason for being there that goes way beyond the goodie bag or the gift. And this is going to inform where the event is held. People are desperate for different places and spaces, rooftops, galleries, warehouses, you name it, somewhere different. We must push the boundaries on staging and technical in order to inspire and excite our audiences and give them full immersive experiences. Our guests have become a lot more discerning, and I think we're going to see a real uptick on niche, smaller group events designed for deeper engagement. So how are we going to do this? Keep it real, authentic, refined, looking very closely at the minute details of the guest experience. Oh, and this one is a very complicated one. Consume less. So by way of illustration, I would like to just tell you a quick story. Last year, the amazing director, Craig Frymond, starring Erin McElroy, created a brilliant theatre piece called A Vegan Killed My Marriage. In a particularly brilliant scene where the couple are now patching up their marriage because he's become this vegan and got a bit vigilant, they're now having a romantic dinner by candlelight. Why? They're in load shedding. And really, they're finding this beautiful moment of healing between them, and suddenly, boom, the lights come back on. And it's blinding hot white light. And the point is made, do we have to consume so much meat, so much power? So yes, let us aim to consume less. Just last week, we were filming one of South Africa's most inspirational leaders, Adrian Gore, and his message is so clear. This is not the time for despair. This is the time for action and activism. We have the opportunity to learn from so many great minds, and in some ways, reach and influence others. And I believe it's more than just an opportunity. It's a responsibility, an obligation even. And we need to walk the talk. We need to produce the events that are sustainable, events that support and benefit small local economies, events that develop mindfulness and action in our audiences, beyond the headline brief and messaging. We need to do whatever we can to mobilize and endorse action and activism in those that we speak to. We need to continually drop pebbles in the pond and let ripples flow outwards towards society as a whole. And that is what I really hope will be the next big trend. I'm now going to hand you over to my wonderful colleague, Simon Nkosi, a senior event producer at 360 Degrees Production House, who deeply understands the needs of human beings. Okay, so Si, please come and cast some light on wayfinding in the dark.
Thank you, Megan. I'm delighted to be here at Eventually 2024, and thank you for allowing me to be the only token male of the group. Event producers have a rather particular skill set. First and foremost, it all starts with a vision. Like a master architect, we begin by understanding the objectives and aspirations of the client. We delve deep into their purpose of the event, the desired atmosphere, the target audience, and the key messages to be conveyed. And that takes days, weeks, preferably months of planning before the actual event happens. Fast forward, all the planning has been done, everything is in place, and it's time to go, go, go. Call times have been sent to production teams, suppliers, venue personnel, clients, artists, anyone that is actively involved in the build-up of the event. As the above-mentioned groups start arriving at the venue as per their call times, known or unknown to them, a very common situation begins to happen. The event producer's phone starts ringing off the hook. Once answered, a number of questions might follow, particularly leading to, I've arrived at the venue, but I'm not sure where to go, or I'm lost, which may seem insignificant at the time considering the full day's schedule, but ultimately contributes to what could be a fantastic, a good, or an absolutely stressful event. When we plan on wayfinding, we generally tend to think of the end user's experience, putting ourselves in their shoes and their experience. We go through great detail from the moment they receive the first communication on an invite to the moment they might need our assistance in getting back home. However, we rarely invest the same time and detail to the event personnel, the people who are going to make the event happen. I say this as they are as important to the guest experience. Any delays that arise can directly affect an event. A couple of minutes delay can easily build up to hours, adding stress, anxiety, panic, which in turn can cause organized chaos instead of calm and readiness. I have a particular story not related to an event execution, but it's a great example of how time can get away from you when you're trying to find your way in the dark. Late last year, 360 Degrees produced a rather magnificent event for one of our valued clients. And one of our guest speakers was a world-renowned, award-winning comedian and TV host from South Africa, and now lives overseas. I won't mention his name, but it rhymes with Never Lower. Now, Never Lower had not done a comedy tour in South Africa for quite some time, and last year he came back home on his Around the World comedy tour, which meant a lot of media promotions, one of which being a well-known national radio station, also hosted by his closest friend. The day before his interview, he opened up Google Maps to check how long it would take him to get to the radio station from his accommodation. 30 minutes, it said. Since the radio show is in the morning, on the day of the interview, he decided to leave an hour early to allow 30-minute delays, as he remembered morning traffic is no joke in Johannesburg. As he leaves with his driver, he opens up Google Maps again for directions. 30 minutes that he researched yesterday was now 45 minutes, but still feeling very relaxed and confident. 10 minutes into the drive, load shedding hits. Traffic lights are down, and 45 minutes has now turned into an hour. Slight panic starts setting in. He decides to ignore Google Maps and proceeds to tell the driver the quickest route that he knows. Because before he was a world-renowned award-winning comedian and TV host, Never Lower was once a taxi driver. So he remembers all the back routes, but unaware that due to residential safety, a lot of the suburban neighborhood roads have now been enclosed. Dead end after dead end, he finally reaches the location that Google Maps pinpoints as the radio station, having now been on the road for 1 hour and 30 minutes. At this point, panic has properly set in. He's 30 minutes late, and he needs to gain access into the building. Security, in a slow stride, talking to people passing by, eventually gets to his window. Never Lower explains that he's there for an interview at the radio station and he's running late. Security suddenly recognizes him and proceeds to forget his purpose and becomes a fan. Never, 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 I can't believe it's you, Never. Nobody told me you were coming. Please, can I take a picture with you? A bit irritated with the request, but still remembering how persistent security guards can be, he quickly takes the picture and asks the security guard to please let them in. Still extremely excited, the security guard tells him that they are at the wrong location. The radio station has moved into a new building about a month ago. But not to worry, it's only 2 kilometers away. At this point, Never gets a phone call from his closest friend asking him, "Where are you? You're late." Never explains his whole morning and the reason why he is running late. From leaving an hour early, thinking that his trip will take 30 minutes, but for only Google to let him know the trip will take 45 minutes. Then load shedding, which increased the ETA to an hour, conveniently skipping out that he had then decided to ignore Google and give his driver directions. He's now at the old building, which he was unaware the radio station had moved to a new building. He's also just ditched the driver because there's gridlock traffic and he is running to the new building. But before hanging up, he asks his friend to send him a pin location. Also unknown to him, the whole conversation was also live on radio. As soon as he hangs up, he hears a car hooting, then a second car, a third car, and almost like a slow clap building up, it quickly turns to a scene out of the 2010 World Cup. Horns are blaring, people are shouting out of their car windows, "Never, never, it's that way, it's that way," all of them pointing in different directions. Chaos. As this is going on, the pin location pops up on his cell phone. With the horns blaring, people cheering him on, he follows the pin location and reaches his destination. Still a bit of a panic, huffing and puffing with a 2-kilometer jog, and a bit confused as he tries to identify one of the 2 buildings he is standing in front of. Remember, the radio station only moved a month ago. So there is still no signage outside the building. He decides to call his friend to make sure he is at the right place. As the phone is ringing, a gentleman in a white GTI Golf stops next to him and tells him to get inside the car. He knows exactly where the radio station is and he'll drop him off. Never is now 2 hours late for a 3-hour-long radio show. So he has 1 more hour to make it to the radio show for his interview. His mind is not thinking properly. He is tired. He decides to jump in the car and let the nice gentleman take him to the correct building of the radio station. After a short 2-kilometer drive, Never is not really concentrating on the road. He tries to gather his thoughts. The man stops and says, "We're here." Never looks up and quickly notices the security guard he took a picture with about 30 minutes ago. The man had arrived back at the old radio station building. However, after all the back and forth, Never eventually made his way to the correct building with 45 remaining of the show. Oh, by the way, the place where the gentleman picked up Never with the white GTI was actually the correct location of the radio station. That is wayfinding in the dark. Some of us have experienced a similar but not quite as hectic or maybe worse day and know how it feels. Overwhelming, right? It is therefore a vital element that myself and my 360 family have planned and considered over past events solutions to ensure this experience is managed. Can you imagine if a situation like that happened to a client, a supplier, an MC, a performer, anyone that is actively involved in the event? The result will show on the event in one way or the other. So limit anyone on an event from finding themselves wayfinding in the dark. Thank you for your time. I would like to now hand over to Boniswa Holland, who will give you more insight about artist management.
My name is Boniswa Holland. I am the co-founder and senior agent at Elysian Management. We represent about 300 artists across South Africa. Today I want to talk to you about the artist, the cherry on top, the sexy part of your event, the person responsible for making sure your audience stays on their tippy toes. Now, I'm sure you all heard the saga surrounding the Golden Globes. Yes, people are still talking about it today. The host of the Golden Globes dropped them last minute. We're not sure why. They then went and booked Joe Coy directly as a replacement. Now, Joe is a seasoned comedian. He's hilarious, we love him. But is he a host? Was he the right person for the Golden Globes? The Golden Globes handed Joe a script that was written for somebody else. First mistake. The script wasn't authentic. He couldn't relate to any of the jokes. They were falling flat. He was offending people in the crowd. People with huge names like Oprah Winfrey, Taylor Swift, Robert De Niro. We were cringing. We could not wait for the show to end. Now, poor Joe's at home licking his wounds, and trust me, it's going to take a courageous producer to book him for anything again. But let's talk about the brand of the Golden Globes. It's been tarnished. Nobody wants to watch the show anymore. All of this could have been avoided if they had booked an artist through an agent or a manager. That's where I come in. You see, as an agent, it is my responsibility to make sure I have a full understanding of your events so that I can propose the correct artist. I will make sure that there is a contract in place, one that protects the artist as well as you, our client. And I will make sure that the artist understands your event so that they deliver nothing but professionalism. Now, I know what you're thinking. An agent is going to give me the runaround. An agent is going to add a huge percentage to the booking fee. An agent's not going to get back to me. Every industry has its rotten apples. But if you book your artist through an agent that is with the PMA, a group of reputable agents in South Africa, you are going to receive nothing but the best. So, if you're looking for a fresh and different approach or need assistance getting started, our downloadable one-pager can provide helpful information and guidance. It's a convenient resource to help you make your event a success. Thank you.
Thank you, Boniswa. What I've just learned is that agents are your cheerleader who will ensure that you get the correct talent for your brand and your event. Remember to keep a lookout for the contact details of our experts and to grab the downloadables created specifically for you today. In this ever-changing world of digital this and AI that, we all need, and I am definitely including myself in this, we all need guidance. The team from Bold Online are not only the best at what they do, but they work with you while making you look like a rock star. And they have the patience of monks. They are on top of all googly trends and are a remarkable team. We call her the Google Whisperer. Please welcome Michelle Venter.
Thank you for the intro, Cece. Hi everyone, friends, marketers and event mavens. Are you tired of crickets chirping at your meticulously crafted events or marketing campaigns? Does the thought of irrelevant ads bombarding your audience make you want to scream into the void? Well, don't stress. Today, we are not just talking about Google Ads. We are talking event and marketing campaign domination. Buckle up. We're about to ride the search wave and leave bland marketing in the dust. So before we unleash our inner Jedi marketers, let's face the truth. Most event ads are about as effective as a mime trying to sell fidget spinners. They target the wrong people, blare irrelevant messages, and leave audiences wondering, did someone forget to add water to this marketing campaign? Google Ads, when wielded with strategic prowess, can transform your event or promotion from whimper to roar. First, let's ditch the guesswork and hop the search wave. Keyword research, that is. Imagine this. Someone Googles Best Marketing Conferences 2024. Boom, your ad, perfectly tailored to their interest, pops up. It's like finding the perfect pair of jeans online. Instant connection, zero frustration. That's the power of keyword research and where we spend most of our time. We're not stalking our audience, we are not guessing, we're understanding their needs and speaking their language. Now, let's craft a message that hypes you up more than a Vuvuzela at a Bafana match. Gone are the days of generic register now, please. We are weaving emotional tapestries, painting vivid pictures of incredible experience awaiting them. Remember, people buy emotions, not features. So tell them how your event will make them feel empowered, like the ultimate marketing ninja. But wait, there's more. We're not just sending them to a registration page that looks like it was designed in the dial-up era. We are building perfect landing pages that are as user-friendly as a kitten chasing a laser pointer. Think clear calls to action, informative content, and visuals that scream, click me. Remember, a smooth user experience is the difference between event attendee and lost lead. And hey, let's not forget the pre-show hype. We are building anticipation with teaser ads, social media buzz, and email marketing campaigns that make people feel like they are missing out on something big, like the party of the century. Think exclusive sneak peeks, behind the scenes, glimpses, and even a sprinkle of FOMO dust. But wait, there's even more. Yes, I do love saying that. We are not just attracting new faces, we are nurturing our existing audience. Remarketing lists help us reconnect with past attendees or people who are in the market, reminding them of the awesomeness they experienced and enticing them to join the fun again. It's like a warm hug from your favorite event saying, hey, remember how much fun you had the last time? Come back for more. So, are you ready to ditch the fear and embrace fearless advertising? Remember, Google Ads are a powerful tool, but they are just one piece of the puzzle. Combine them with user-friendly websites, landing pages, strategic content, the correct keyword research, and a dash of marketing magic, and your events will be the talk of the town and beyond. But wait, there's actually one last thing. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Do you want to take your event marketing to the next level? Download our ultimate guide to Google Ads for events. Now go forth and conquer. Let's show the world what fearless event marketing truly looks like. P.S. Feel free to leave any questions or comments below. I will be here. And who knows, maybe we can even share some horror stories of truly terrible event ads or marketing campaigns, just for fun, of course.
Thank you, Michelle. As you can see, there are many tools required in this magic marketing toolbox. Tiffany Markman will be joining us a little later to continue on from Michelle's conversation. Besides being a member of the 360 team, which means that you get exposed to all facets of the business besides your role, my main function is to work with the marketing team on the 360 Degrees brand. In this role, I'm lucky to work with a magical team of experts who embody the culture of continuously striving for excellence. Caroline Swart is one of these creative gurus, and I'm incredibly lucky to get to work with her. Caroline is not only brilliant, she's a quick problem solver and a great person to have on your team, especially when the pressure's on. Caroline, over to you.
My moment of greatest exaltation as a designer happened when I made a 7-foot giant of a man cry. He was a huge man with a huge brain who had pioneered electronic document integration systems at a time when commercial document transfers were done by runners driving in small cars across cities, delivering CD stacks to customer accounting departments to allow invoices to be uploaded into accounting systems and synchronized. His pioneering genius had been poured out over hundreds of all-nighters, coding, running compilations, wrangling, tottering online platforms, until his brainchild ultimately came forth fully formed, only to be completely ignored by everyone he tried to show it to. We sat for hours in his boardroom, drawing process diagrams, moving concepts from designer language through benefit and feature language to user language, and finally into the language of finance departments. I took our scribblings away and over a couple of days designed one PowerPoint slide that explained what his software did. I brought it to him, projected it up onto his smart TV, and had to stand by awkwardly while he burst into tears. He said, "That's the first time anyone has shown me properly what I've built. This is the power of design. It's not just about making things pretty. It's about stimulating the senses and organizing visual information to aid understanding and integrate ideas through experiences." Traditionally, designers and clients approach one another with equal degrees of eye rolling. Clients seem to find designers obtuse, skittish, and impenetrable, while designers often find their clients unreasonable, bullying, and lacking in imagination. It comes down to radically divergent ways of experiencing the world, which, when brought together through precise and patient communication, can create miraculous results. Whether it's a sales presentation in a boardroom or your big budget brand event, you want this magic dust for your event. Here's how you get it. First, hire a design team that won't drop you at the last minute. The 11th hour is all important in complex design projects. There will be failures in the design, print, digital, Wi-Fi, and manufacture processes. You need your team on hand to pull through. And be kind to them by giving them the raw materials they need if the conceptual design team is not the same bunch as the implementation design team. Make sure all design materials are transferred to the implementation team so you don't waste time and money forcing the implementation team to reinvent the wheels the conceptual team has already made. This includes high-res imagery, logos, fonts, layered open files, and branding guidelines. Having a tame design team that will go the extra mile is a function of reputation. Keep your ear to the ground for referrals. It's not always the big names in agencies. And going the extra mile is not just about the willingness to work project style with long days and long nights. It's about their ability to communicate with their project manager and the service providers who will print, manufacture, or upload the designs to understand and accommodate these processes and parameters. Secondly, allow enough time in your project plan to get all the design implemented. Solving the design problems a typical event presents require a deep and diverse skill set in a design team. Consider that they must be able to implement across digital, large format, small format, desktop publishing, manufacturing in 2 dimensions and in 3 dimensions, sometimes be able to work with engineering CAD design, a variety of printers who all demand artwork set up in unique ways, and so on. The greatest number of elements I've had to design for a single event has been in excess of 200. Your designers will touch almost every detail of your event to create a seamless, hybrid, and immersive experience. Electronic invitations, registration pages, event apps, lanyards, flags, banners, photo booths, menus, wrapping paper, gift decals, carpets, name tags, serviettes, speech cards, PowerPoint slides, stage backdrops, caps, shirts, signage, escalator wraps, car decals. The list never ends. Give your design team enough time to solve each of these problems. They're creatives, black belt problem solvers, and process chunk uppers who will deliver gold given the opportunity. Thirdly, project planning and tracking is key for big events because of the diversity of types of elements, the variety of manufacturing timelines, and the struggle many designers have in reading lists. They're so boring. The people who are designers are often slightly neurodiverse, which tends to give them deep strengths in some areas and gaping incompetence in others. to harness their genius. It would serve you to supplement their blind spots with a project manager that has the people skills to manage them and keep them motivated. Have a firm, kind and organized project manager to keep a tight eye on deadlines and check all artwork for compliance with the brief, as well as details like spelling, alignments and template conformance. In other words, please give your designers an experienced and motherly project manager. Moreover, use tracking tools that are strongly visual to allow visually oriented designers to check their progress quickly without having to change modes in their brains. Also, send them donuts regularly. Fourth, have clarity in your own thinking about which set of visuals will be at the hero at your event. The right answer is the event theme. Yes, your event must be branded, is ultimately about your brand, but that's not what makes your event sexy. For the audience, an event that is all about pushing the brand will be all about free stuff. The event that provides meaningful human experience and engagement is the one that will create long-lasting brand relationship with your audience, a wow experience, a show of human generosity and innovation. Your guests will have been aware of your brand the moment they received that very first save the date email. Don't need to have your logo in their line of sight always. Avoid putting your logo on everything, especially gifts. A gift with your logo on it isn't a gift. It's a Trojan horse advertising opportunity. No one wants a set of Carol Boy's knives with your commercial logo engraved on them. Those knives will never see the candlelit dinner you hope your guests will deploy them for. Design is there to create a seamless, elevated experience that you craft for the people you hope will fall in love with what your brand offers them as human beings. Fifth, keep your own sign-off committee small and brand sensitive. By this I mean to imply that too many opinions spoil the design and create delays that are not worth the stress. The right opinion is the one that understands the most up-to-date guidelines of your brand. At a conceptual level though, avoid a committee that will make changes for the sake of making change. As a rule of thumb, if you cannot settle a design within 3 reverts, your brief has been poor. All designers have had clients who know exactly what they don't want, which eliminates in the thinking of the designer about 1% of the possibilities being spawned in their creative brains on your behalf. It's true that creativity flourishes within limits, so if you begin with as tight a brief as possible, you will get the best result. Event production is not the theatre of the mind. That's what training is. If you want your event to have a deep experiential impact on your guests so that it embeds your brand message at a visceral level, design in all its forms comes to bear. It's worth your while to understand it, find the best people who can deliver on it, and pay for it what it's worth.
Thanks, Caroline. Now that was provocative. Clients, get your budgets, timing, and definitely the right project manager in place. Before we hear from our next excellence guru, just a quick reminder that the Q&A link is open for 30 minutes after the speakers conclude their presentations to allow you to post any questions which you may have. While we've been online today, we're getting many requests to get a replay of the session. And I obviously will speak to the powers that be, and if there's a replay, you will be notified. Tiffany Markman is a genius with anything spoken or written. She's a stickler for perfection and has a serious allergy to ordinary. This is evident in her passion for creating powerful, punchy communication. She's also always striving to keep her fingers on the pulse of what is relevant, not only in her space, but in what can make for better content for anyone who lays their eyes and ears on her work. As previously mentioned, one incredible speaker, Tiffany Markman.
About a week ago, I found myself seated at a glitzy gala dinner in a luxury hotel in New Delhi, India. I was wearing a formal dress, much more formal than this, big earrings, bigger than these, and sequins. I was running on almost no sleep because I'd flown from Joburg via Dubai and arrived about 3 hours before. Also, I was starving. It was 9:30 p.m. and there had been speeches. But as I chatted over dinner to a man who turned out to be a major dignitary, Mr. Rajiv Kumar Jain, the former director of the Intelligence Bureau of India and the current leader of the National Human Rights Commission, I was a bit bamboozled and I wasn't thinking clearly, and I popped an entire green bean into my mouth. But it wasn't a green bean. This was India. This was my first visit to India, and the green bean was the hottest chili of all time. Within seconds, I had tears streaming out of my eyes, I had snot running out of my nose, and steam coming out of my ears. It was a truly classy moment for me. I may or may not share what happened next, but the fact is this. You will remember the green bean. I will remember the green bean. And Mr. Rajiv Jain will certainly remember the green bean. If we want things to stick in people's minds, they have to be specific, detailed, and unexpected. And really the same rules apply to coming up with creative concepts for events. So think about it, much like creative ideation for anything else. When you're coming up with creative concepts for an event, there is, or there should be, a structure to it, because it doesn't just happen. Now, it often feels like creativity should be all right brain, fluffy clouds and tinkling bells and unicorn poops, but your brain has two hemispheres for a reason. The right-left myth is nonsense anyway, and really all good things begin with a plan. So, whether or not you're aware of it, you and whomever you work for already have some kind of internal process for generating creative ideas. But if you're not familiar with the ins and outs of the process, if you can't reverse engineer it, then you sometimes feel like you're playing the lottery every time you have to generate a new concept, angle, or hook. My message is pick your poison. You've either got to use your own method, someone else's method, or a version of my method. And I'm going to share my method so that you can. I use what I call my micro-focus methodology for generating creative ideas, and it has 3 steps or techniques: the shrink, the rabbit hole, and the leap. Or if we were being very specific, we'd say the green bean, the India visit, and the snot and steam. But I start every creative process with the boring stuff: the desired outcome, the target attendees or readers or recipients, and the parameters or constraints: the size, budget, venue, time, style, purpose. Then and only then, once those parameters have been defined, is it time for the sexy stuff: the brainstorming, which I call the shrink, the research, which I call the rabbit hole, and interrogating, which I call the leap, before we move into any sort of collaborative process and any sort of refining, paring down, refining again, and so on. So in the context of event creative, let's have a look at this in practice. First, desired outcome. What is the challenge that this particular event needs to address? What are the key elements that have to be included, communicated, or implied? Then, target attendees. Who are they? Why them? Why now? Style and purpose. This is really about how the company or host wants the attendees to feel. And what should they do or think as a function of feeling that way? And what action should they take, if any, during or after the event? And then to the parameters: size, budget, venue, time. But of course, I mean, I'm here for the sexy stuff, you're here for the sexy stuff, so let's go back to the key elements or messages. And let me give you an example just to make everything a little bit more real. Let's say, for argument's sake, that we are thinking about a sales event for financial planners. And the objective of the event is to boost prospect conversion and client service levels during 2024. So those are our key objectives. And let's say, because I've done one of these recently, that the theme is grit, okay, or perseverance. The company or host wants attendees to feel driven, equipped, and confident. Not excited, not inspired. Those are not enough. The attendees have to be moved to act, and they have to be capable of acting. So the question then becomes not what do we do to entertain these people, but what do we do in the scope of this event to move these financial planners to act and to make them capable of acting. We do not hire a motivational speaker. We do not do a team build. And we do not do jazz and artisan gin. It's brainstorm time. The shrink, the rabbit hole, and the leap. When you shrink, you zoom in and in and in to ask, What does grit look like in human form? Who embodies it? Which individuals? How and why? Those might be external individuals, famous people. They might be internal individuals who are less well known. Look for the one human being who is mainstream enough to appeal to everyone but specific enough to resonate. Then, with the rabbit hole, you research. For example, if you want to convert more prospects and raise service levels, data might show that planners need to get better at tolerating rejection. How do you use that? You go down a rabbit hole. And then with a leap, you hop over the obvious things, the things that emerge first, the common ideas, the mainstream ideas, the boring ideas, and you go straight to the wacky things. For example, in the context of this event, you might go literal grit, like sand, or sandpaper, or friction, or pressure. Now, you might use some of your ideas, you might use all of your ideas, or you might use none of your ideas. A few will be objectively bad. But there will be nuggets in there of good stuff, and the more you do this, the more you iterate, the better the nuggets become. Believe me when I tell you that when the idea generation process is informed by planning, it's just better. Not less creative, as many might think, but actually more creative. And around all this, there are 4 creativity-boosting competencies that work for me and the 13,000 other people who participated in Prof. Robert Epstein's research study, which was conducted at the University of California. But you can find out more about that in the downloadable freebie. Because I'm a fan of the leap, and because it resonates so strongly with my brand and most of my messaging, and most of the messaging that I create on behalf of my clients, it really made sense for me to tell you the green bean story, because it was a way for me to use a specific, detailed, and unexpected list of things to create what I hoped would be a sticky message. But now I'm also hoping that you can see the link between specific and the shrink, detailed and the rabbit hole, and unexpected and the leap. In essence, there are 2 key takeaways here. 1, you are going to have to use your own creative ideation method, or someone else's, or some version of mine. It doesn't matter, but just use a method. And 2, when you're in India, cut the green beans in half and examine them closely before eating them whole.
Wow, lots of takeaways. For me, though, it's to use a creative ideation method, your own or even somebody else's. Tiffany, thank you for that. And thank you for joining us. As they say, ixesha liqhathwe yinja. In short, it is the end of our first 360 webcast, crafted just for you and filled with a powerhouse of entrepreneurs. Remember that you have an additional 30 minutes to post any questions that you have not yet asked. Please go to the 360 Degrees website where you can find the contact details for each of our experts to help you solve your challenges. This has been a beautifully fruitful afternoon for me. It really reinforces to me why my heart swells at being part of this team who always strive for excellence. Or as Megan calls it, the real 360 Degrees way, which to me is about a company that is deeply committed to our clients, values its supply chain, is caring, is deeply collaborative, and always holds hands with its partners while growing the business. We thank you for taking time to be with us today, and we hope to be seeing you soon.